Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be painting one of the heads for the helmet. This is the main head right here, the helmetless one that goes to Juggernaut. So this is our dude. Then we need another head to paint that goes inside this helmet, and that would be this one. You can see there's a key in there. And it fits in there like so. Not really going to try super hard to get it as detailed as this one, because I am going to glue the helmet on to the head. And we're going to start off using Fairy Flush set number 74004, and so we'll get started on that here in just a second. Alright, got some paint pre-mixed, so we're going to get this guy clamped up here. So, camera adjustment, and starting off with the base coat. Here we go. Going for a nice, even, light base coat here. I'm going to adjust my camera angle because I don't think it's working very well. Alright, let's try this. Alright, so that's pretty good for our base coat there. We've got a little support stuck in the ear. We'll go ahead and fix that. All right, here we go. So change the camera angle a little bit. Now we're going to use step 2 here. It's kind of a reddish skin tone. And for this particular set of fairy flesh paints, I use 50% distilled water and about 50% of the paint mix, and that's what I put in my airbrush. I've got my airbrush cleaned out and ready to go, so we're going to go on to the next layer. More or less kind of a highlight layer. If you guys ever have any questions on my techniques or how I'm mixing paint or anything like that, please feel free to comment. Even if you have any criticisms or anything, maybe I'm missing something. I've been painting, drawing, and sculpting and all that for the better part of 40 years, but I definitely don't know everything. Someone always points out some kind of technique or something that I forgot about or didn't know about, and I love getting that kind of feedback, so please let me know. And of course, if you like what you see, please feel free to like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Okay, that's it for that layer. It's looking pretty good. Alright, off to layer 3 here, using 74006 Natural Flesh. I got that mixed up here. Again, about 50% water and 50% paint. Stirred up, and that's going to go on top of this guy. A little paint in our cup. Being a little finicky, a little back flush on there. Here we go. This layer I'm just kind of concentrating on the high points of the face. The chin, the nose, eyebrows, cheekbones. think that's looking pretty good. Look at it. Some nice volume in there. And let's let that dry for a minute and we'll get on to layer 4. Get some freckling in and stuff like that. Okay, so we're all set to do a little bit of freckling. And we want that to appear kind of underneath the skin. Using skeleton horde, just my personal choice. It's not too dark, not too light. Now, I normally run my airbrush between 20, 25 pounds PSI, depends on the effect I'm going for, the type of paint I'm using. And in this particular case, since we want freckles, we want the paint to just barely squirt out of our airbrush. So we're going to turn our pressure way down to almost 0. And you can take, what's a good example? Once you get it right, you can, not sure if you can see that. Just barely putting some freckles on there. Kind of see those. And you'll just have to kind of slowly turn your pressure down until you get it right. So we're gonna put some freckles on them. Now, even though I said I wasn't trying to make this perfect or anything, because it's going to be under the mask, I'm going to go ahead and just treat it like it's not going to be under the mask. There we go. Some nice freckles in there. So now at this point, we want to seal it. We want to make sure that that paint isn't going to rub off or anything like that. So we're going to put a clear coat on it. And what I use for clear coating, we just want a matte finish or a flat finish on it. I'm going to use this Krylon Fusion All-in-One Clear. We'll go do that off camera because I don't want to get any of that shit on my wife's car here in the garage. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're ready to do our washes. Got this guy sealed with our matte finish. And we're going to do yellow, our red, and blue washes to start bringing out some volume and tone. You know, make it look like real skin. You know, there's some blue in there, some red, stuff like that. And we're gonna create that same effect here before we build up our last 2 layers of skin. So let's go ahead and start that up. This part you want to work pretty fast on. Have your sponge ready. And here we go. Dab that off. kind of using a brush now to break it up a little bit. Get some of the excess out of the ears. Alright, get that dried off. Go ahead and do our red next. Sponge is ready. In a minute, I'll explain why we sealed it first. Right now, I'm kind of doing the same thing. Kind of a damp brush, just go in and breaking up a few of these spots that are a little more red than I'd like them to be. Don't want it pooled anywhere. Okay. Go ahead and make sure that's nice and dry. This is my wife's old hair dryer. She never uses. She has since purchased a new one. So no hair dryers were harmed. But get yourself one with a cooling button right here. That way you're not blasting it with hot air and you're getting blasted with cool air. So that's after we've got our red layers in there. You can see how that's starting to break up a little bit. Take our blue ink. And just so you know which washes I'm using, it's made by Game Ink, also Vallejo. And these are the yellow, red, and blue inks I'm using. Very watered down, about 1 part 25% ink and 75% water. So it's pretty transparent. And we're going to go ahead and do our blue wash now. Make sure our brush is nice and saturated. Run off the excess. And this blue layer you do want to move pretty quickly on because it will stain. You don't really want that to happen. Now, the reason why we sealed this earlier is because we're going to give this model a spritz of alcohol once this is done. And that's going to kind of break everything up. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. That's going to kind of imitate all of our little veins and capillaries we all have in our skin. And we're going to do that right now, and I'll show you what happens when we do that. Oh, there's one little spot here I want to break up a little bit on that blue. Probably do a little more blue here, actually. Good. Go ahead and break that up. Now this is just denatured alcohol, and we're going to give the oops, a little spill there. Going to give the model a little spritz, and watch what happens. That breaks up everything, and we're just going to go ahead and dab that nice and light. While this is drying, I'm going to kind of clean up my mess here I just made. I don't know if you saw what happened just now with the ink when I sprayed the alcohol on it, how it kind of bunched in on itself. That's what we did here with our head. Looking pretty good. So once this is dry, we are ready for our last 2 layers of paint for the skin. Okay, this is dried. We got our 3 washes down, and now I'm going to use the Fairy Flesh 74007. This is very watered down. We want it almost transparent. We don't want to go over everything we just did with the washes. We want to just give it a nice little coat on top. So we're going to do that. Just nice and subtle. Catching all of our highlights. Kind of spraying this from the top down. Alright, so that's that layer. Now we're going to move on to our final highlight layer, and then we're going to do shadows. Alright, final skin layer besides shadows. So we're using highlight layer, skin highlight 008 in the Fairy Flesh set. And we're just going to go concentrate right here along eyebrows, nose, cheekbones, chin, just picking up those little spots. Very watered down, very transparent. looking pretty good there. Call it good on the highlights, and then we'll move on to our shadows. Alright, so final layer on skin tone with this guy is going to be Reikland Flesh Shade by Citadel. It's a really nice masculine skin tone. I use it pretty often when I'm painting a male figure. I'll show you how that works. And we're basically shooting that from the bottom up. We want to catch our shadows with it. A little more paint in my airbrush here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think, folks. A little bit more. Alright, I like where we're at. So now we're going to go in and, well, I'll show you in just a second. Alright. So once again, using the Reikland Flesh Shade, go ahead and start adding some details, catching these wrinkles, that sort of stuff. Not going to be using a lot of paint. Tracing in on these wrinkles here. switch to a smaller brush here for these tighter details.